Iran has attacked 3 ships in the Strait of Hormuz after US President Donald Trump extended the ceasefire with no specific end. According to US media reports, President Trump has hinted further talks with Iran could happen by the end of the week. For all the latest on this, we are delighted to bring in our Washington correspondent, Simon Marks. Morena, Simon, what on earth is going on now?
Well, we're in a pattern of sort of U-turns and whiplash here, John, on a daily basis now, with President Trump engaged in a constant stream of communications over his Truth Social account, engaged in telephone conversations with reporters in Washington who have his telephone number, keep dialing it in the hope that he will eventually pick up, as he occasionally does, and even today in text messages that he's been exchanging with a reporter from the New York Post, indicating that he thinks it's possible that there might be some peace talks taking place in Islamabad in the next 48 to 72 hours. But at the same time, senior White House officials are telling reporters here that the president's decision only about 18 hours ago to extend indefinitely the ceasefire with Iran in order, as he put it, to give a fractured Iranian government a chance to unify around an agreed set of positions for future peace talks. He's already got buyer's remorse about that decision and is now thinking about only extending the ceasefire for about 5 days before again threatening to return to conflict. And of course, that move by the Iranians today to attack those 3 cargo ships off the coast of Oman being seen by many analysts here as a shot across the president's bows, with the Speaker of the Iranian Parliament, who attended the first round of talks in Islamabad and led the Iranian delegation, saying that a complete ceasefire only makes sense if it is not violated by the maritime blockade and the hostage-taking of the world's economy. And of course, he's arguing that the United States is engaged in both of those things, and it's the US that's got to back down.
Lest we forget the talks were meant to have taken place, weren't they? So there was a sort of sense that J.D. Vance was about to leave Washington for Islamabad. There was evidence of preparations. The streets were being cordoned off in Islamabad. But Iran was just like, we ain't coming. We ain't coming.
Yeah,
Did Trump blink?
Well, there's no question that he blinked. I mean, this was a president who, on Tuesday morning here, yes, I'm old enough to remember Tuesday morning here, gave an interview to CNBC in which he indicated that he was absolutely itching to use the American military. They were raring to go, he said, and implement his pledge to destroy Iran's electrical infrastructure and its bridges, actions that human rights groups warn could constitute war crimes on the part of the United States and Israel were they to be carried out. So he was itching. They were raring to go. And the next thing we knew was that Vice President J.D. Vance was not packing his bags and getting aboard Air Force Two to make the 17-hour journey to Islamabad. There was a permanent hold put on that because the Iranians made it clear they weren't traveling to Islamabad because of the U.S. naval blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. And it is, of course, now that American blockade that is fueling global economic panic. We've heard here today, for example, from the CEO of United Airlines that he's about to raise airfares by as much as 20% because of the rising price of jet fuel. So J.D. Vance didn't travel to Islamabad, and then Donald Trump blinked last night and announced the indefinite extension of the ceasefire, but also the indefinite extension of his blockade of the Strait. So the Iranians are basically sitting back, flexing their muscles, engaging in these attacks on cargo ships in the Strait, and saying, balls in your court, Mr. President.
You're old enough to remember Tuesday. Are you brilliant and uncanny enough to predict Friday? So, I mean, where are we heading now?
Absolutely anything could happen, John.
Yes.
But I would underscore that the president's options here, his room for political maneuver is narrowing. There was a new
Yes.
poll out last night from the Associated Press showing his approval rating has cratered to 33%, its lowest level yet. On the issue of the economy, only 30% of voters approve of his handling of the economy now, and that, of course, is entirely, in large measure, due to the rising price of petrol at the pumps.
And that's hurting his
industry
base,
here,
Simon, isn't it? That's hurting his
very
base.
much so.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. And the travelling public, whether they are thinking of making a road trip this summer here, whether they are truckers relying on diesel that is soaring in cost, or whether they are business travellers who want to book air tickets, who are seeing, as they get on the internet to make the bookings, the price of those flights rising before their eyes. All of this creating a situation from which the president urgently needs to extract himself 7 months before midterm elections in November, but the Iranians at the moment don't seem inclined to offer him much of an off-ramp.
No. Simon Marks, I always so enjoy our chats. Thank you so much, Simon, out of Washington.
Cheers, John.
Cheers.